All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about something that is absolutely critical at the front office, controlling guest room keys. And let me tell you, this is about so much more than just following procedures. It's about a fundamental promise of safety that we make to every single guest who walks through our doors.
Okay, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll kick things off with why this is such a huge deal. Then, we'll get familiar with the tools you're actually working with. From there, we'll walk through the exact process for standard requests and those special situations that pop up. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about what this means for you as a hospitality professional.
So first things first, why is this so incredibly important? Well, like the slide says, we're not just handing over a piece of plastic. We are literally delivering on a promise we make to every person who chooses to stay with us.
I want you to really think about this for a second. When a guest checks in, beyond all the greetings and the paperwork, what is the number one most important thing we are guaranteeing them? What's the bedrock of their entire stay?
You got it. There's safety, there's security, above everything else. And this is precisely why key control isn't just another item on your to-do list, it is a core responsibility. Honestly, if a guest doesn't feel safe, nothing else we do even matters.
And the official definition really nails it. This is your duty. You are, in a very real sense, the guardian of that guest's private space. Your one job is to make absolutely certain that their key only ever ends up in their hands. Any slip-up is a direct threat to their security and a breach of our trust.
All right, so we've established the why, and it's a big one. Now let's get into the what. To really control the keys, you've got to understand the tools of the trade and the one single rule that governs everything.
Look, in any hotel, you're going to see a few different kinds of keys floating around. You've got emergency keys, master keys, all for different operational needs. But for us today, we are zeroing in on the one you handle all day, every day, the guest room key. And the rules we're about to cover for these, they are completely non-negotiable.
Okay, this right here, this is the golden rule. If you remember nothing else from our chat today, remember this. Nothing, and I mean nothing, gets handed over without proper verification first. Not a key, not a message, not a package. This is your absolute primary duty in protecting our guests. So before we move on, just take a second. Think back to your last shift. Can you pinpoint a moment when you had to do this verification? That's the moment we're talking about. That's where you make the difference.
So, let's get practical. Let's play out a scenario. A guest walks up to the desk and asks for a key. We see it a dozen times a shift, but our procedure has to be perfect every single time. Let's walk through it step by step. This process is crystal clear and there's no wiggle room. Step 1, you ask for their last name and room number. Step 2, you check it against what's in the system. Now, if there is any doubt, any little mismatch at all, you immediately go to step 3. You ask for a photo ID. And if for some reason they don't have one, the final safety net is step 4. You physically walk with them to their room. There are zero shortcuts here, period.
And look, sometimes a guest might push back a little, right? They might wonder why all the fuss. This phrase right here is your best friend. It's polite, it's professional, and it instantly reminds them that you're doing this for their protection. Commit this one to memory. It shows you're on their team. Let's just pause on that for a second. Really, picture it. Guest if a guest. Run through those 4 steps in your head. Ask, check, verify, escort. This has to become muscle memory.
So the standard request is pretty straightforward. But it's not always that simple, is it? Let's talk about a couple of common curveballs that require 2 totally different responses to keep things secure.
Okay, so you've done everything right. You've gone through the steps, you've verified the guest's identity. But hold on. Before you even think about touching that key machine, there is one more critical question you absolutely have to ask.
And that question is, do you need an additional key or have you lost your key? It sounds so simple, but the answer completely changes what you do next. And believe me, the security of that room depends on you getting this right.
And this, right here, is the critical difference. If they need an additional key, say for a spouse, you make a duplicate. The old key still works. But if they've lost their key, you must program a totally new one. That single action immediately deactivates the lost key, making it just a useless piece of plastic. Getting these two mixed up creates a massive security risk. Just think about the implication for a second. If you give a duplicate to someone who actually lost their key, that means their original key is still out there, active, ready to open their door. That's a huge vulnerability, and it's one that your attention to detail can completely prevent.
Okay, we've gone through the why, the what, and the how. Let's pull all these threads together and talk about what this means for you as a professional upholding the high standards of our hotel. These aren't just rules on a page, you guys. Think of these as your commitments. Mastering them shows your dedication to guest safety, it protects our hotel's reputation, and it really sets you apart as a top-tier front office professional.
And this quote, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? Guest security isn't some grand one-time action. It's about your consistent, careful, diligent work, shift after shift, guest after guest, that keeps that promise of safety we make to every single person who stays with us.
So, I'll leave you with this question to ask yourself at the end of every single shift. Your personal commitment is what turns this building from just a place to stay into a true safe haven. Thank you.